for having someone so, really a female pioneer in the fashion industry and the Canadian fashion industry and in Ottawa as well. So it's my pleasure to welcome Stacey to the stage.
Hey guys, how are you? My name is Stacey Bafi-Yeboa, and I'm owner and designer of Kenya. So when Maxine, who's the host, she emailed me and said, would you like to be one of the Creative Mornings speakers? And I thought, what an amazing opportunity for me to come. I love to public speak. I love to inspire. I like to talk to people. And Anouk at Eco-Equitable, they just did some of the sewing for our New York Fashion Week show, which was incredible. So to be here today talking to you was an absolute honor. So thank you so much for that, first of all. And then, so when she asked me to do it, I thought this was an amazing opportunity. And I thought, what is the subject? And then when I got the subject and it said pioneer, I thought, well, I'm not a guy whose name is Bell, who made a phone or found, I'm not Christopher Columbus, who founded land. I'm a fashion designer. I don't understand where that ties in. But then I realized my entire life has been a journey of being a pioneer. So when I was a little girl, I used to read a lot of books. I used to read the Babysitter's Club. And I was that girl who would take my Babysitter's Club book and said to all my friends, okay, we're gonna gather around, we're gonna get a flyers, we're gonna go all the way around, and we're gonna start this company when I was in grade 6. That's the girl who I was. So I was basically a pioneer since I was a really little girl. And when I look back to my life, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me okay? When I look back on my life, I only really worked a regular job for 3 weeks at Loblaws. I was the cash girl for 3 weeks. I still know my 4022, the grapes. But that's about it. But what I'm saying is that I never really worked a real job. My entire life was all about pioneering. So when I thought about what makes a modern day pioneer, like what is that today? And a modern day pioneer is somebody who has the courage to do something different. Somebody who has the vulnerability to be wrong and to fail. And that's kind of who I am. So when I was in high school, I would always be that girl. My friends would say, Stacey, you go. You try it first and you figure it out and then you tell us. And that's kind of been the girl who I am today. So I run a fashion design line. I am self-taught. I have a studio on 145 York Street. I started making clothes because I would see women who really wanted to be comfortable, but they didn't have comfortable clothing to wear. So I thought, well, they want to wear their pajamas, but they want to look good. What do they have in between? Nothing. So I'm going to start a line. And I literally bought a sewing machine, and I started. And my mom, who's sitting right back there, was with me. And she would be like, okay, Stacey, we went to Sears. We bought a sewing machine, and I said, you know what? I'll just put the video in, just pop it in and figure out how to make it work. And that, can you sew down? Oh, can you hear me? It's down, but now I can't hear it all. Here? Can you hear me? Should I talk in my loud people voice? It sounds echoey. I'm gonna talk in my loud people voice. I could do that. I have a 4-year-old son. That's okay. So basically, I bought the sewing machine, and I was like, you know what? I can just figure this out. Put it in the VHS, it was a VHS back then, and figure out how to learn it, and that's what I did. And I said, you know what, a sweater is only 2 arms, a front and a back. Everyone's wearing a sweater or a t-shirt right now, and it's really just 2 arms, a front and a back. So just look at the pattern and figure it out, and that's what I did. So my whole journey of life has basically been that of a pioneer. And I just would figure out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do things. So with my line, it's called Kenya. It's a luxury sweatshirt line. When I started to make my things, I started to have my patterns. They were all really good, but then I didn't have really good fabric. So I thought, how am I gonna get really good fabric? Then you gotta find a fabric mill. Like, where is there a fabric mill in Canada? There is none, but yes, there is one. I think if you really have the drive and the passion to find what you wanna find, then you can find it. So I had found fabric mills to mill all the fabric custom made for my line to make the pieces of the things that people said you couldn't make because you didn't go to fashion design school. So all these things, what I'm saying, the whole point of this story is that I actually started this as a pioneer. And when I look at each and every person that's in this room and anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, really the essence of it is, do you have the confidence to take something that you believe in and just go for it without having any preconceived notion of what it's going to be? Are you able to stand in front and say, I'm going to be there and I'm going to pave the way not knowing what's in front of me? And I think when I look at what a modern day pioneer is, that's exactly what it is. It's literally, I got here today and Maxine and Anouk were like, so you're going to have a PowerPoint presentation? Are you going to have photos and videos? And I thought, well, not really. And I looked back at the Creative Mornings videos and I thought, this is how most people do their talks. But that's not me. And I said, you know what? I want to do this what is authentically me, and that's what has brought me to where I am today. So I thought today I want to just talk from my heart. I want to speak to you all, and I want to do that the way that I would do it my way. And that's a pioneer. So the reason why that they all came, you guys are all here, a lot of that you know me right now, is because we were just finished doing New York Fashion Week, as I mentioned before. So on September 8th, 2017, my dream of being a New York Fashion Week designer came true. Thank you. So the backstory is that I used to be a Broadway dancer. So I danced on Broadway. I did films, movies, and commercials I started when I was 18 years old. So I was that girl at first. I was in high school. My girlfriend said, what are you going to do for your summer job? Everybody got the job at Loblaws or doing what they were doing. And I was like, well, I'm going to audition for Wonderland. So I went to an audition not knowing what it was about, and I auditioned for Wonderland and I got that job. I went to Toronto. My parents handed me the keys and said, good luck. There are the keys. Every weekend I would drive back and forth to Toronto by myself to do the show at Wonderland when I was in high school. And then I came back and then I did a cruise ship and I thought, wow, this is interesting. I'm on a cruise ship. Clearly this is my path. And my path is to be a dancer. When I finished doing the cruise ship, I did Royal Caribbean for 6 months. When I was done that, I then auditioned for Broadway. I remember walking into the audition and I thought, well, I love Saturday Night Fever. I'm a dancer. I love to like it's all in there, right? So I was like, I want to dance. And I saw the Saturday Night Fever ad and I thought, well, I can do this. And I went there with no headshot, no resume, nothing. So the director said to me, do you have your headshot? Do you have your resume? I said, no, I just love to dance. And he was like, okay, go to the back. 4 days later, I got a call saying that Bernard Telsey Casting Agency called me to go to New York City. And I didn't know who Bernard Telsey Casting Agency was. They were the casting agency to tell me that I got the job on Broadway. So that's when I started, and at that point, at 19 years old, I moved to New York City. So rewind now that on September 8th, when I was doing my show in New York City, it was the most magical feeling because I'd already done my debut Broadway show, and now I was doing my debut runway show in New York. And so I know 5 years ago, I had looked at it and said, I one day want to perform, I want to do a runway show in New York City, and I want to do it my way. I want to do it the way that I see fit, which means that I have to have dancers in my show because fashion's boring, after all. Because honest to goodness, when you're all sitting here watching someone walk, and they're tired, and they're hungry, they do not look good after 5 minutes. You're bored, right? So what happened is, I want girls who have bodies. I want power. I want dancing. I want creativity. I want the whole show to have something different. And when I told the producers that in New York City, they looked at me like I had 5 eyes. They're like, how are you going to do this show? And I said, I want to bring Broadway to the runway because that's the way that I do it. So going back to what a pioneer is, yeah, I had to do the pioneer to get to do the show, but I also had to do it my own way. And so I encourage you guys all to know what you want. So many times I'll ask somebody, hey, so you want to be, or they'll ask me, I want to be a fashion designer. I said, okay, great. So what does that mean? And they'll say, well, I just want to be a fashion designer. But what does that mean? You have to really, really know what you want. And I think that's the very pivotal thing of what you're going to do. When we knew we were doing New York Fashion Week, I wanted dancers. I wanted the girls to be powerful. I needed 24 girls to go down this thing. My brain was like laser focused into exactly what I want. And I had a teacher one time, and she told me, you have to treat your brain like it's a navigation system. So look at your brain as though you're putting it into navigation. You guys all got here today. You may have got here by navigation. If I told you to get here, go to Eco-Equitable, just show up, you wouldn't know where to go. Your brain doesn't know where to go. But when you put in that you're going to 404 MacArthur, your brain brings you to 404 MacArthur. The car brings you there. So your brain has to do the exact same thing. So when I knew that, I said, I need to have a room full of dancers I want to have the show that's dynamic. I need the music that's on fire. I need people to be excited to watch fashion, not bored. And I had this, everything that I had was very streamlined. And from that, I was able to have the show that I envisioned. And I think a lot of times that's the lack that we have as entrepreneurs because we're afraid to take that leap. So people often ask me, how did you get here, Stacey? How did you become this fashion designer who didn't have any training, you didn't go to school for it, you just figured it out? And I said, you know what? I jumped. I'm that girl who stands on the edge of the pool and jumps into the deep end. And I don't just jump in, I actually dive in head first, and half the time I'm like flailing, thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? And a lot of the times I feel like I'm gasping for air, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but somehow it works out because I want it that bad. If you don't want it bad enough, you will not succeed. So many times people say, well, I want to be a fashion designer. It's pretty. It looks really good. It's not. I'm exhausted. I'm up every single night working, emailing, calling, doing all the stuff I do, but I do it because of the passion that drives through my soul. It's something that I live, I sleep, I breathe, I eat it. So it's like I always tell young entrepreneurs or anyone who wants to start anything they want in their life, if you actually want to do it, you have to want it more than anything you want in this world. And once you do have that level of compassion and passion that you have it so strong in your soul, then you gotta jump. And when you jump, it's not gonna be easy. There's been so many times that I have failed. There's been so many times that I've not gotten what I've wanted. When I've been rolled up in a ball, crying, thinking, why am I still doing this? How come it's so hard? Why, and why? But the only way that you can ever succeed is if you go through those things. And I think, I used to look at failure as one of those things of, I don't want to fail, it's really hard to fail, it's impossible to even get to that level. But now I look at failure as just something that I didn't achieve what I really wanted to achieve. So if I just go into failure thinking, oh, I didn't work out this time, what can I do again to make it work out? And every time if I just keep doing that, then you can keep achieving. And you don't ever have to feel like it's failure because you're just gonna learn from that. So every time if you just keep learning and then you master your skill, then you just become a better, stronger person after all, right? So yeah, so this is my story. This is where I've come from. This is my journey of fashion. Now there's lots of fashion designers that are here in this city. There's lots of fashion designers all over the world. But a lot of them, I always wonder, the best ones, how do they get where they get to? Why are they so good? And a lot of it comes down to being a pioneer. They've taken an idea and they've gone forth with it without wondering or caring what anybody else thinks. And a lot of times I'll stay quiet with my ideas. I'll keep my ideas kind of honed in, thinking I'm not going to release it until it's ready for people to understand it. And at that point in time, there'll be a lot of people who are going to give you the self-doubt of, you shouldn't be doing that, and why are you going to do this, and how is it going to do? Are you sure about that? You're not going to have enough money for this. And the voices, the inside voices and the outside voices keep talking, and that's when you get really scared. But at that point in time is the time when you really have to hone in and know exactly what you want. Because when you feel that confidence of what you want, you can do anything you want in this world, absolutely anything, but you gotta feel that. You gotta feel it like a ton of bricks in your body, like you're a bulldozer plowing through sand. So that's what it is. So like I said, we did New York Fashion Week. I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes video that we did for the show. So we went down, Arfi Lalani's here, Arfi was with me working on Fashion Week as well. It's not something that I do all by myself. The job that I do is just my creative vision a lot of times, but there's a lot of people that help me. Melissa's here as well, she does social media. So we all work together to kind of build the team and the community of what we want to do. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a recap of the whole New York Fashion Week show, so you can kind of get a sense of what we did. We arrived on the Sunday before the show. You can keep it going, it's okay. We arrived on the Sunday before the show, and then this is the whole journey of what happened. We worked all these months to get this together, and that was what we put on, which was an absolutely, I would do it again, we're gonna do it again. But just one of those things that I feel like when you really have the passion and the power to do something, that's what it is. You hear in the video, you keep hearing, I am beautiful, I am powerful, I'm creative, I'm inspiring. Those are the words that I tell the models. Those are the words that I told the dancers. Those are the words that I tell myself before I come up here and I talk to you guys. And I think that's very important that in your head you can continue to have whatever your mantra is, whatever your affirmations are, that you can say and truly believe that you're beautiful, you're powerful, you're creative, and you're inspiring. Because when you walk into any situation with that mindset, you're going to conquer the world. So thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me.